Torsek Lightning Car Champion is Rational Richard.
Thank you, Mike.
We've waited 10 years for this. Has it sunk in yet?
It has just sunk in now. Holy cow, wow, I am honored to be here.
Let's talk about that race, because you had a lot of traffic to contend with first.
Yeah, that was a really busy race, actually. A lot going on there. I hope that was entertaining for the fans as it was for me driving in it. There was a lot going on.
I know you have a big cheering section back there. They were loud during the race. Who do you have back there? Because I know you have some special guests.
I got a lot of special guests today. So first of all, thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. We got actually a lot of my colleagues from my lab came out, as well as Paige's lab. So really cool shout out to them. It's awesome that you guys made it out. And as always, big shout out to my family. I really couldn't do this without them. So I got to thank God and I got to thank my family. You guys are all amazing. And man, it's just been a lot of fun taking this journey with you all.
Party's on now, right?
Is it ever?
Congratulations.
Thanks so much, Tim.
Give it up for Rational Richard, your 2019 Toursek Lightning Car Champion.
Yeah, I'll see you later.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Year and the incredible finishes. You know, the fans have lost their minds both times. I can only imagine what's going to be in store after 150 laps on Saturday night.
We don't have an entry list as of yet, still trying to put it together. I know there's one driver that I believe he's not sure which car of three he may be driving this weekend. So it's going to be a great race, I'll tell you that. There is a bonus for outside of the province cars to come to that race as well. We'll document that in between our first two interviews, because we've got our picks of the week, and our standings kind of got turned upside down after the sharpshooter race last week. We'll get to that in a second, though. But Dylan, are you excited for Friday night to start off with Scotia Speedworld?
I am. It's been a long time coming. You know, things are kind of lining up like they did in 2020. My first race looks like it's going to be on July 2nd, 3rd again. So same as last year with the Bubble Buster at Petty, but exciting news. Fans can go to the race at Scotia Speedworld. Initially, no fans were permitted, but 600 fans in that grandstand will be able to soak up some CARSTAR weekly racing. And this guy may have to venture over the old NB border on Saturday for a little 660 racing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting weekend. If you're in New Brunswick, 660 is definitely the place to be on Saturday. I know the Center for Speed has something scheduled for Sunday. There's, floating around, they're a little bit fluid with the COVID deal and their borders opening and whatever else, but 660 is definitely a go. But we'll get Paul to pop up the big news of the day, Scotia Speedworld. You mentioned it, Dylan. If you are a race fan, you can go to the racetrack. If you cannot make it, this has been 3 years in the making. Tim's Corner TV will have live coverage of this race coming up on Friday. Boys, it's been 3 years in the making. We did a lot of work last year to get this Tim's Corner product to where it is. Big thank you to Ken Cunning, Tara Foster, and everybody involved with Scotia Speedworld to make this thing happen. You get to see it live. If you can't make it to the racetrack, get your passes now. It'll be just like the Miramichi shows. It'll be on demand on Monday on the Tim's Corner Video On Demand monthly subscriptions. All the information at scotiaspeedworld.ca, timscorner.ca, and timscorner.tv. So Dylan, if you can't make it to the racetrack, maybe you're, trying to, Canada Day, maybe you're hungover or what have you, you can stay home and watch the race if you can't absolutely make it to the racetrack. Or maybe you're outside the province and can't make it on a Friday night, or maybe you're going camping with the family, whatever the case may be, you can still be engaged with the action on Tim's Corner TV.
Yeah, there is, Tim. And folks, Tim's not lying that this has been like a 3-year process. I remember doing a kart bond race in the winter of 2018, and Tim brought up with me and Greg McKay that he wanted to do some live video at Scotia Speedworld. And of course, the way life goes, stuff gets pushed back and then a pandemic shows up. So this has been a long time running. We've got some live racing in on Tim's Corner TV in Sydney, but we need to get it here in the HRM, and it's happening this Friday.
And it creates a doubleheader weekend next weekend, Denver, because we're going to be live Friday night in Halifax, July 9th, and then we're going to Miramichi on July 10th. So if you told me 2 years ago we'd have 2 live shows in one weekend, I would probably have told you you're crazy. But we're getting ready for it next weekend. So just a heads up for those that are like some live racing on Tim's Corner TV. You're going to get to see it next weekend.
Absolutely. It's going to be really exciting. This is such a huge push for TCM TV, and Scotia Speedworld obviously has phenomenal racing. Tim, I have never personally got to go see a weekly racing event at Scotia Speedworld, so this is so big. Friday night next week, I'm going to be sitting in the tower at Speedway Miramichi getting ready for Firecracker Night, and I'm going to have the live racing from Scotia Speedworld on. So that is really exciting, and really looking forward to that. And it's hopefully one of these days we get down there to check it out. But in the meantime, with this TCM TV deal, it's going to be big. I get to watch it.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. And my phone's been lit up all day long. And I've told everybody that's congratulated us in this deal that it's not about it's us as a whole. It's Denver, it's Brittany, it's Meredith, it's Steve Austin, it's John Forsythe, it's Paul Strickland Jr. helping us out on the on this show and on the iRacing stuff. Dylan, yourself, it's a full team effort. So for those that are out there that are excited about this, I'm excited about this, but I'm excited with what we've done. So that's enough about us. So we've got a busy show coming up. For those that didn't get the memo, Tyler Hallahan is going to join us a little bit later on this evening. We're going to chat some Scotia Speedworld Torsek Lightning car racing. The reigning champion, Rational Richard Drake, is going to join us in a few moments as well. Jam-packed show, but I'm excited for this one because every time you get this guy on the show, you're always in for a good conversation. It is the driver of the number 99 car for Scooby-Doo Car Racing. East Coast Mini Stock Tour champion, multi-time Thunder Card champion at Scotia Speedworld. List goes on and on of the accomplishments that he has throughout his racing career. And we're going to get ready to welcome Dave Matthews onto the show. And Dave has a special guest as well that we're going to get to chat with throughout the evening. Dave, welcome to the show. Are you ready for Friday night?
I guess I'm ready as I'll ever be.
How's the preparation been? Because the last time we chatted, last time we saw the race car on the racetrack, it was in Miramichi, and it came, 5 laps away from winning that race?
Yeah, it was pretty close. I think it was 5 or 10 laps, and she went kaboom. Too much practice Friday night.
That must have been what it is. We are live and interactive, by the way. So if you're watching us on the Scotia Speedworld page or watching us on Tim's Corner Motorsports, drop us a question, drop us a comment for Dave, and we'll get it on the show here this evening. We are live and interactive. Love our fans. Let's have some racing conversation. So Friday night's coming up, Dave. It's coming up kind of quick. It's just like last year where we didn't know when we were racing and what we were going to be racing, and now all of a sudden Scotia says, hey, we're racing. We got fans in the stands. How excited are you?
Super excited. It's about 15 minutes from home, so it's nice and close. There's gas in the car. It starts, and I'm more concerned about Bristol starting out for her first race than I could ever be about my old cars. But hopefully everything works out, that I got the timing that I can run my car too, but definitely going to concentrate on her for the first night.
So how are the nerves going in? You mentioned you're concentrated on her, but think back to when you started racing. How nervous were you then, and how nervous are you to see the mini one on the racetrack?
I don't know if I was that nervous because my car cost like $50, and pretty much just beat the glass out of it and put a T-bar in it, and there was like 70 cars out there. So I was excited more than I was nervous, I think. then. Definitely a little more grown up now, and can't believe that Bristol's 8 years old and she's gonna hit the racetrack. Hard to believe.
Now, we did see some practice footage on your Facebook page and getting up to speed. How has she been doing so far?
I think she's doing great. We've been out 3 times, and she's picked some time up every time. I'm not pushing her too much because I want her to enjoy it, and I want her to come into her own and treat it more like a little bit more fun than maybe I have sometimes because I'm so competitive about racing. But that'll come with time.
Bristol, how excited are you for Friday night?
Excited.
What are you most looking forward to for the first time hitting the racetrack?
Driving.
Just driving? Yeah, she asked me here the other day. She's like, "So, is there like a checkered flag holder in your car, or do you hold that when you go around?" I said, "Just hold it." So at least she's thinking about checkered flags. How can you not?
Absolutely. Obviously excited to get on the racetrack, but how was the car the first time? What did it feel like the first time you were on the racetrack during that test session, Bristol?
Oh.
I can't remember.
No. Different than a 4-wheeler? Said she can't really remember. She's used to driving 4-wheelers and stuff, so I can see her going around the yard and just accelerating what we call the backstretch. And I think she went pretty good and pretty smooth. Like, I tried to just stand there to give her an idea maybe when to hit the gas, but I know nothing about a bando. So, I mean, it's a big learning curve for me, and not being in the car to really tell what it's doing. I think it's just seat time so far for now.
When this Bandolero division started out in Halifax in 2006, it was 6 cars. It's grown in leaps and bounds. We had 20-something race cars, and we still have 20-something race cars, but now it's a beginner division and the Bandit Outlaw more experienced division. You've seen this thing grow from a Thunder car driver standpoint. How cool is it to see it come from 2006 to having those 6 cars to now you being involved with it? Still got us? There, it might be the internet out in 9 Mile River. There, you got
I think the
us
Thunder
now?
and Lightning,
definitely
the Thunder
grown
and Lightning's going
quite a
through.
bit compared to when it started out. I sure wish that these cars were around when I was 8 years old.
There we, Dylan. I think that's exactly what it is. It's the Thunder and the Lightning, right?
I think so.
Do we have any early returns for Dave on social while we get the weather to pass?
Yeah, well, so Brandon Campbell's watching, and he's been helping out with Tim's Corner TV, and he wrote earlier, "Wow, I like this guy's number," because Brandon uses the 99. But he wrote, "Honestly, Dave is one of the best guys at the track. Whether I'm working or just watching, he's always been a great guy to be around. Super excited for him to lap me in a few weeks." So Brandon's feeling really confident racing against the Scooby-Doo machine, the mystery machine.
So Dave, I guess we'll throw this at you. You've been in this division for so many years. You've seen new drivers come and go. For a driver like Brandon, he's had some problems, distributor issues already with his race car this year. What kind of advice can you give a new driver or a new team getting into the Thunder division?
Yeah, it's hard to get all the bugs worked out of a new car and starting out after being out of it for a while. He just dumb luck sometimes with these cars. They're so old that you never know what might go wrong with them sometimes. I've been lucky to keep mine together.
We chatted about the Bandolero division and it growing back and forth. The Thunder division has kind of hit that little bit of a lull, at least in Halifax, but you've seen it where you've had 70, 80 cars starting 3 wide on the Thunder on the hill. How the progression of that division, the numbers might be tinier, the numbers might be smaller, but it seems like the competition factor hasn't gone away. What's your take going into this 2021 season with the Thunder division?
Well, I don't know how many cars we're going to have at Scotia. The class definitely dwindles down, and I don't know. Guys definitely put more time and money into their cars than we ever used to with the tour and everything. And I don't know why you don't see. Well, I know why you don't see more cars, but that's besides the point. We want to grow a class and mix us all together. I mean, and get everybody close, so nobody feels like they're just being blown away, because you don't want to go out there and not have a chance, I guess. But it's nice to see all the mini stocks being built. And I mean, last year, there's like 30 cars up in Fredericton and at Petty and stuff. Why isn't that at Scotia?
It's something we're going to have to explore. And I want to talk about New Brunswick in just a second. We'll remind you we're live and interactive here this evening. Drop us a question, drop us a comment for Dave Matthews or for Bristol, and we'll get it on the air here this evening as a part of Tim's Corner Live, whether you're watching on the Scotia Speedworld page, you're watching on Tim's Corner. Looking forward for this Scotia Speedworld season. Where are we going to see the 99 car? You mentioned you're going to focus on Bristol. When are we going to see the four-cylinder car out? Are we going to see it week one? What's your plan for Scotia for the Civic?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to bring it week one. It's just I think Darren and Jesse might be coming, so if I don't have time, then I'll probably put one of them in it for, maybe a practice or the heat race. And then hopefully Bristol will be done and everything by the time we go out for our feature, and I can run the feature, I'm hoping.
Well, wasn't the last time Darren ran that race car, it was Speed Weekend last year, wasn't it, when you were up there and he was down here?
Yeah.
So
I'm with my second car.
Yeah, but at least you get to see the car race this time, right?
That's right.
Last year
it's topped up hopefully this week.
Well, that's just it. Last year, when we combined everything, 2020, COVID, what have you, you had thunder and lightning on the racetrack. What's your take on having those two divisions together, and what do you think of the competitiveness? Because Jamie Dillman and Rational Richard and a couple of other those neons seem to keep right up with you guys.
Yeah, like you always got the top 5 guys in any class, and it shows with them guys how much, how well their cars work compared to ours. I think we got an advantage with the tires, so we're going to be a little quicker, but if you put us on street tires and stuff, it evens things out. And with the tour, merging everybody, like I say, everybody wants to go and have a shot, and you don't want one car that can lap the whole field at any time, right? So the more competition and the closer competition, I think it makes guys want to go race more.
I know the end of the year last year didn't really go the way you wanted to. I want to start with Speedway 660 because me and Jason kind of mentioned it on the call on Saturday night about restarts.
Yeah.
Take us back to Fredericton. I know it's now been whatever it's been, 8 months or what have you. Take us back to Speed Weekend. You kind of redeemed a little bit on Sunday, but walk us through what happened on that Saturday night.
I was robbed for my 4th consecutive Speed Weekend. How many cautions were in that race? 17?
It wasn't pretty.
Black flagged me after the 5th time doing it, I guess. Yeah. I don't think I'll ever feel right about that one.
You come back though, got a podium finish the next day. I know it wasn't the cherry on top, I guess, for the weekend. You go to the Mike Stevens race, and it seems like the bad luck followed you there because you and Harley Cornish that had a little bit of the run in?
Harley followed me there. Yeah. Harley followed me right down into the grass.
But you still got out for the feature, right?
But good fella let me drive his car in the oak. Oh man. Then in his car.
Yeah. At least you got to experience that 30 whatever it was. Dylan, how many 4-cylinders were on the racetrack at that time?
A billion.
Yeah, 1,000,000,001, something like that.
Felt like a billion in the announce booth.
Yeah, I mean, you guys had to do all 30, 38, 36 of them in time trials?
Yeah, it was just, I've never seen something like that before. Just like myself and Jesse Thompson, we had to have our head on a swivel the entire time looking because there was so much action happening with fast cars, slow cars. It was a big mixture of everything.
Now, Dave, I know Miramichi didn't end the way you wanted it to, but for those that don't know what happened before on the Friday night, I think Cody Burns still has a rubber mark somewhere after the Friday night deal. Explain to us, for those that don't know what happened to Miramichi on that Friday night of the spectacular weekend, what transpired there? Because you got to do some hot laps around that racetrack and something that wasn't your four-cylinder, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, couldn't have been a better night for me, that's for sure, after the week I had and everything. So we get up there, we go out for some practice in our Hondas, and I must have did 110 too many laps, and then we came in, and there's a brand new 2021 5-liter Mustang sitting there, and I was just talking like, man, it'd be so nice to take that car for a drive. So Barry, track owner, probably the best guy I've ever met now after this, goes into his camper, comes back, chucks me the keys to this Mustang, says, go out and do some laps, but just don't wreck it. So I was like, you know me? Are you sure? He's like, yep. I was like, all right. So he came over, man, and he turned the traction control off and put it on track mode, and Cody jumped in the passenger seat, and we went out and probably did 10 or 20 laps in that thing, and then I couldn't even concentrate because Cody. So coolest thing ever. Barry comes over. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" I was like, "Oh, I thought you were like waving us in or something." He's like, "No, I'm going to get the cop car to chase you around the track." And it was from there we got the cop car in a video chasing us around in this brand new Mustang. And I mean, I'm a Mustang guy, man. I love Mustangs. And yeah, that night meant a lot to me, man. And I'll never forget that. And I appreciate that so much from him, you know?
Yeah, it was a special night to see
Aside from blowing up on Sunday, I mean, I had everybody lapped, even Cody, by half a track.
You sometimes have to give the win to your friend at some point, right? Give him one, make sure he chest pumped out everything else, right? It looks like Denver, the tin can that we have between here and Kennecook is kind of lengthened out a little bit, but you were there. You got to see the Mustang and the Punisher go around the racetrack. What did you think that night?
Oh, that was a pretty wild night, Tim. You know, that was what a moment for Dave. You know, it was, you know, everyone understood the situation that night, and you know, with what he was going through that week, and seeing him and Cody out, and I mean, they were turning laps as fast as a street stock in that Mustang, and with Doug and Barry out chasing them in the Punisher, wow, it was pretty wild, and you know, not many people got to see it, and probably never will, I guess, Tim. But it was a pretty wild night in Miramichi. I guess we try to say what happens in Miramichi stays in Miramichi, but that's not always true, eh?
No, not at all. We're showing some highlights now on the screen of the race prior to 5 laps to go, and that thing was absolutely hooked up that afternoon. Dylan, we're going to get to some social questions in a moment. I do see that Neil Muse is watching, and he said he's not going to make it to Scotia this year. We hope to see you down here at some point, Neil. But Dave, Neil's won the last 2 races in Miramichi. He's kind of riding on the high horse. Any words of wisdom for Mr. Muse when you get up there with that mystery machine?
Well, I mean, it's probably going to be a good race. Neil's going to figure that place out more and more each week. And then we'll see when JR comes, because he's tough to beat there. So, I mean, I feel like I want to beat JR there because it's his track, and I want to race the fastest guys all the time, man.
Well, you're missing Miramichi and Riverside, right? Those are I mean, Oyster Bed, you haven't really been over there to really have that on the list. So you're really only missing Miramichi and Riverside right now, right?
Yeah. Be nice to get those. I just turned 40, so I feel I got 20 years left.
If Rick Cashel can still race at 70 something, then you've still got at least 30 something left, right?
Yeah.
Bristol will be turning laps when
he started racing until he was 36. right?
Yeah, exactly. Bristol will be turning laps in a mini stock with you here before long, right?
Well, that's what she wants to do. I don't know, which probably be easier in my pocketbook because I don't have $1 million to bring to the track every week. So I'm hoping we can just keep her bando going. I mean, I bought 4 new tires for her car. I don't think I've spent that much tires in my whole career for my Civic.
Used legend car tires cost less than new bando tires, right?
And I can get 10 legend car tires for like a couple $100.
It's always the way this sport seems to go. Dylan, I see there's a couple of comments rolling in on social. What do you got?
Yeah, we got a couple people checking in here, including Jason Pickles, Dave. So he says he can't wait to race with you on Friday. Jason's consistently one of the stronger guys at Scotia Speedworld, and he's got one of the newer Civics. Newer in the quote of just a different model. What do you think of the newer Civics, like 2005 up models being introduced to Scotia Speedworld?
Well, I think props to Jace for building that car, and it's definitely been improving. So like to see him, do well. He's a good guy, good driver. Jason used to be like, man, he was so good back in the day, right? And it's nice to see him back into the sport and committed to it.
Norm Robichaud's watching. He was helping out last week, Tim, with Tim's Corner TV. He wrote, will we be seeing the Scooby-Doo car back in Shediac this season? He always loved watching you race there.
Well, I was going to go to Shediac there last Sunday, but they messed the border up. I was ready to go, get my trophy and try and win a race and take Bristol up. So I don't know now when the next Shediac race will be, and I really don't know what's going to happen with the tour. I mean, I obviously want to run the tour full time if I can, depending on whether Bristol wants to go every week, because I'd like to take us both to every track and race every week if I could.
2-for-1 special. Jerome Tracy's watching. He races mini stocks, and he's been in the business for a long time. You make a joke saying you're going to be racing until you're 150, but Jerome's a grizzled vet out there. And how special is it to race against drivers who've been doing it since the 60s sometimes, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, Jerome's been doing it a while, and he always brings a nice car and stuff like that. He's a nice fella, and it was a pleasure to race with him. It's nice to race with all them guys for the majority. I mean, I know we have our ups and downs, and I wear my heart in my sleeve sometimes after a race, man. Like, if I could just take a breath and count to 20 sometimes, that I might not feel like such an idiot afterwards. But I don't go to fill the field, man. I go to race.
You're telling me you didn't take like yoga classes during the lockdown to try and work on your patience and everything?
Yeah. I have a sticker in my car, actually, in my roll bar that says "Be patient."
One more from socials to throw back to you, Tim. Brandon Campbell's still watching, and he wrote, Dave, one day the old Civics are going to run out. What's going to come next? So what do you think will be the majority field filler? Will it be the 2005 and up Civics, or we've seen some Mazdas kind of roll into Scotia Speedworld? What do you think will be coming?
Well, Brandon, I've been running my car for 12 years, and it sleeps inside all winter, so I'd say I'd probably get another 12 out of mine. And then I think I got like 5 or 6 of them sitting around that I don't think I'll ever run out of them as long as they don't let us race them.
There you go, Tim.
Well, there we go. We're live and interactive with Dave Matthews. We've got a few more minutes left with Dave, so be sure to drop us a question or a comment. Kind of to the point that Dylan just mentioned with Jerome Tracy, we've had a lot of drivers in the last, however many years we've been doing this, come and go. And I don't like to use the word retire because a race car driver never retires. But you look at guys like Art McNamara, Kyle Mcmillan, Scott Williams, the guys that have moved on and moved up, guys like Andrew Lively, Stevie Lively, Murrow Corbin. You guys have won a hell of a battle here a few years ago for a championship. Is there anyone or any other drivers that you kind of miss racing with that you kind of, think they should strap a helmet on and come back racing?
Man, I miss hanging out and racing with most all those guys, It's I've seen so many people come through the class and always had some good competition. So I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, one day am I going to wake up? Am I going to suck? And I'm never going to be able to do as well as I do, because I'm so blessed to be able to drive that car and you know, with what I try to dig up for sponsors and stuff like that, man, and run as well as I do, and run against all those other guys, and I see what goes on. So there's been a lot of guys come through there, made a lot of good friendships, only a few enemies, frenemies, whatever. So I mean, it's the best class to be, in my opinion. None of us have that much money, so we respect each other's car a little more, and we don't want to work on it, which is a good thing.
I want to ask you, you've had so many battles in the past, the last few years. I remember you and Stevie going back and forth for championships, and then Andrew Lively and Shane Lively came along, and, you know, we talked about Kyle Mcmillan having a battle there as well. Tim Webster's come back and forth. Is there any one battle you remember? I don't want to bring up the word rivalry, but maybe, you know, back and forth that sticks out in your mind over your career?
Oh, man, I don't know. There's always one guy there, right?
Keep in mind, it's only a 2-hour show.
I mean, Stevie and I, like, we're buddies, right? And I just, as much as we battled, like, I don't know if it was much of a battle. It was just always even there. Like, I mean, there's a bit of, but I mean, Matt Warren, man, he's probably like one of the best drivers out there, and them guys are so smart. So I always think like those guys are at the top of the level. So to be able to compete with them and run with them, like majority of the time, man, it's always real good racing. And there was a few years there where we're just like so close, right? So the pressure's on, man. You're running for that championship. I mean, we've had 3 championships between the 3 of us that settled over like 2 points for the 3 years or something, which is, you know, it's pretty cool to be that close. And I mean, I don't know. I beat myself up sometimes, and it's hard not to let the pressure get to you after running all year. So I mean, this is what always happens to me. I'm like, oh, I'll take it easy this year, go out, do well, you know, be at the top of the standings. So I feel like I got to go next week. And then just most of the time, man, the consistency follows. So that's what you got to do to win.
We stood in your shop back in April 2019 when we did the shop stop, and you called the shot. You said, I got to win that championship. You come home with the East Coast Mini Stock Tour Championship in 19. Obviously, it's been a while. We didn't race last year for points. How big was that championship to get that weight lifted off your shoulders?
Yeah, that was a big weight because I've been traveling around the Maritimes for 3 years, and you know, like to lose it by 8 points the first year and 5 the next year, and just stupid stuff that happens, you know, like, man. And yeah, it was nice to get it and, you know, dominate that year, man. Right? Even blew up there, and still I had a little pressure off me that year to go out and try and finish the year. I had a good start to the season and stuff like that, and it means a lot to win that one, man.
And especially with all those racetracks around Atlantic Canada, to be able to go to all those tracks and perform well. And before I go to Denver, we'll talk about the schedule, because obviously schedules are all over the place right now. We don't know what's going on. AMP was on the schedule, and right now still scheduled for September, you know, depending on what all this COVID stuff does. Oyster Bed's on the schedule, a couple of new venues. But Atlantic Motorsports Park, Legend Car's been there before. First time a stock car series has been there, or an oval base series has been there in a few years. What's your anticipation? What's your thoughts heading into that race?
My thought is it's going to be wild to see all these circle cars that have gone left for the last 10 years turn the other way. So I don't even feel comfortable taking my car to try and turn the other way. So I'm going to try to build a new car that's came off the road that's still the rigidity in the car is used to going both ways. Maybe like, yeah, I don't even know about that one, man. Like, I can't wait to go, but it's going to be hard in them old cars, man, for sure.
You told me before, after you raced Valley Raceway, that you need to take a race car to that racetrack. If you're a pavement guy that you don't have an emotional attachment to, is that the same thing going to AMP?
Well, I mean, I guess we're on pavement. I just think, well, like my car, 12 years of just turning left. Like, I don't even turn it right in the driveway or anything to move it. So it's gonna be pretty cool. There's gonna be some setup there, so hopefully I can get my butt in the gear in gear and get something geared up for that weekend.
We'll do last call on social now. If you have a question, comment for Dave, drop it below. By the way, I see our race director, Jason Morash, is watching. Want to say hi to Jason. Look forward to seeing him and the rest of the staff on Friday. Got to see JC for the first time at Scotia today when I was out there doing some testing. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Friday evening. But Denver, you've been kind of quiet over there. What do you got for the East Coast Mini Stock Tour Champ?
Well, Dave, we've kind of talked a bit about some of the wins that maybe got away, particularly last year, but you've had a lot of wins over your career. Which one stands out as the biggest win to date?
I think it would have to be like my first win I ever got. It was a car I paid $160 for, and it was I started on the pole in the heat race, and I started on the pole in the feature. Didn't know an air pressure, didn't know nothing. Won the race, was like super happy. And I mean, obviously you win after like your first outing. I mean, probably my second outing, because my first outing, I went to the 100 lapper and I think the car lasted like 15 laps and blew up. So to get that one, I was hooked from there, and I've been going ever since.
I want to talk a little bit about the Atlantic Championships, because you've won a bunch of those over the years. What's made you so good at that race?
I don't know. I just drive it like a circle so much that I try not to lose any momentum. And my car may not have the most power, but man, she handles.
So speaking of tracks, you've hit just about every track in the Maritimes. You know, the road course coming up. But of the oval tracks, which one is your favorite to go to, favorite to race at?
Have to be Miramichi.
So you got to get the win up here now. You know, that's the big Miramichi and Riverside.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to cross them off, but I don't know if I have a favorite track. I just like racing them all. They're all my favorite when I'm on them.
That's a good way to look at things, for sure. I want to ask you, we saw last year this idea kind of come up with the outlaw races for mini stocks, and we've seen it at, I think, 3 or 4 different tracks last year. What did you think of those outlaw races? I know you did well at the Miramichi one and hit the podium at Speedway 660, but you know, kind of open rules. What do you think of those races? It didn't seem like there was too many drivers take advantage and do anything too crazy, but maybe everyone's just keeping their secrets close. But what do you think of that outlaw style racing?
I had a blast. I had no secrets. You could see what was on my car, so I guess it gives everybody a chance to try something different and see if they can make their car faster. And I mean, it's still, if you can make it not about wrecking or anything and racing, then it's good. But which was pretty good at both places, you know.
Absolutely. Now, looking forward, 2021 is there. You know, obviously there's still some uncertainty with COVID and everything, but it looks like we're going to get going. You know, with Bristol racing, is there anything on your bucket list this year that, you know, you absolutely want that mini stock at?
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it number 1 in points if there's a tour championship, I guess, to try and do that. And I mean, I always want to see it at the front at Scotia because that's my home track, and I've been going there every Friday night, man, since probably like 2007. I haven't missed a Friday night there, so it's home to me. This will be the first year kind of without my mom or my dad, and they're big. They were big in my career. My mom was at every race, and you know, to have Bristol here now to kind of relight the flame in me to do for her. I'm gonna be happy to get to Scotia for a Friday night, man, and just get the first one out of the way. It's gonna be emotional.
And they had.
Before I throw it back to Tim, I kind of want to ask you, we've talked about the Tour Championship, but you have a bunch of championships at Scotia Speedworld in that Thunder class. Is there any particular championship that stands out in your mind? I know you said there were some really close points battles and everything, but is there any one championship that, or maybe one that got away? Is there any one year that you look back on and remember a lot about?
Buddy, I remember all the second places, not the first places. And there's probably 5 second places that are still fresh in the brain compared to the victories, me and Stevie tied on a championship, and he had one more race win. And actually the race win that he got, I led 24 laps of the race. And I guess they gave him the race in the 25th lap, man. And I remember stuff like that, right? The losses, not the wins.
Obviously, we get to go home and race Friday night. 600 fans, for those that are just joining us that might not have seen the news earlier, 600 fans allowed in the grandstands. On Friday night, split into 4 bubbles. How cool is it to have the fans back? Because I know we had a couple of shows last year where we did not have a soul in the grandstand besides Rob Bonus. How cool is it to have the fans back?
I mean, the fans definitely bring the excitement. It's nice to have somebody cheering there for people. And, it's just good after a race to be able to show appreciation to the fans because they're a big part of Scotia for us. And, without them completely, we might not be there, right? So, I mean, it's a shame. I'm big on kiddie rides, man. Painted a car for kiddie rides. I love the look in the kid's face when we drive to the track, and it's nice to see them all, Everybody has their crowd of cheering section, so it's nice we got some of the best fans at Scotia.
Now, I know a lot of your cheering section is headed towards the pits right now with Bristol Racing, but I'm sure you're going to have some fans in the stands with the sign crew, and it's one of those things that we go to other racetracks and we don't maybe necessarily have that group of fans that are there every single week and cheering on multiple drivers. How cool is it to have Tony and the crew there every Friday night?
Yeah, there's something special, that group, They've did us a couple signs, and I mean it's so nice to have that support. They take pride and they're dedicated to showing up every week, and pretty blessed to have that group. Shout out to them.
We'll go to Dylan Langell one more time. I see there's a couple of comments rolling in on social. Dylan, what do you got? Any final thoughts for Dave Matthews?
Yeah, Dave, excuse me. I was just going to comment on what you said about the kiddie rides and making your car look consistently the coolest with any of the series around the Maritimes. Whenever you have that mystery machine out and about, people notice and people want to go to it. What's any changes this year, or is it kind of the same you had last year?
I'll be honest, Dylan, I just pulled the car out and put it in the hoist and started putting a seat bracket in it. I haven't did nothing to the body. I haven't even touched it up or nothing. So I figure I'll just take it out the way it is for a little patina, and I don't want to change too much superstitious like that.
Hey, fair enough. Yeah, Tim, mostly just Jason Morash sharing some stories of racing with Dave, and I'm sure Jason's pretty fired up to get back at the track too, like yourself, Tim. The whole Scotia Speedworld family is ready to get back after supposed to be starting May 2-4 long weekend, and here we are, the Canada Day weekend, getting fired up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's another name that you would have raced with back in the day and those heydays of Thundercar racing. What do you remember racing against Jason Morash? No, knowing that he's the race director now, we can't share all the stories.
Well, I know Jason was always completely legal, and I used to enjoy passing him.
There you go. Let's we have Rational Richard coming on next on the show, and I know he said a couple of times last year when we kind of amalgamated those two divisions that Dave Matthews is my measuring stick. If I can be as fast as Dave Matthews, then I know I'm on top of my game. How cool is that when you roll into a racetrack, regardless if it's Scotia Speedworld, regardless if it's an East Coast mini stock tour race up the road? How cool is it to have drivers compare them to yourself as this is the guy I've got to beat?
Yeah, like I say, man, I'm pretty blessed to run as well as I do at other tracks and stuff, and you know, I try to help everybody out because the way I see it, if you can help somebody get around the track better, they're not gonna frig with you for not helping them out when you're racing them on the track. You know, like you got to gain respect on and off the track. I mean, you know I've had my moments, but I don't feel I'm a dirty driver or anything. You know, I don't like the contact as much. Like, obviously you don't like it as much when you're getting it, but I try not to give it as much either. Richard's a good driver, man. He does well. So, I mean, it was nice to race with him. And, like, we never really talked before. We talked a little bit last year and stuff. And good fella, always runs well. So, I mean, I can say the same thing, you know. You never know who's going to be fast in one night. It could be one guy's tires are a little better than the other guys. And I was always a firm believer at that at Scotia because the cars were so close, you know, between Stevie, me, Matt, Warren. Like, it just almost where you started is where you're going to finish.
And it's always great to see that great competition out there. And it's always so close when we go four-cylinder racing at Scotia. Looking forward to it on Friday night. Dave, I know you don't do it alone. Who's on the race car sponsorship-wise? And I know you got a couple of really dedicated crew members that help you get to the racetrack. Who makes it happen for you?
Well, I'll be honest, Tim. It's pretty much me in Bristol this year, buddy. I never really reached out to anybody. And, you know, like I said, I got a hard time asking people for money for something that I love to do. So if it comes along and comes my way, it does. But, you know, I don't go searching for it, man.
Well, if there's anybody out there that's watching tonight that wants to put a sticker or decal on the car, be sure to contact Dave. Dave, this has been fun. Always great catching up with you in Bristol. And we look forward to seeing you guys on Friday night.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you having me on.
That's Dave Matthews. Yeah, we'll see you Friday. Can't wait. That's Dave Matthews, driver of the number 99. Let's talk fantasy points. Let's switch gears to Speedway 660 and Denver. Dylan, look who's on top.
Shut up.
Listen, when you have the points lead, you kind of got to gamble. And I mean, sometimes it goes, sometimes it doesn't go. I just picked a really bad week to have a bad week when there's 26 cars in. That's a lot of points to lose.
You are not alone. Dylan, what are you doing all the way down there?
Isn't some driver to blame for the reason that I'm so low? I shouldn't throw a name out.
You blew a motor. It was a motor. Come on now.
Did I blow a motor?
You blew a motor.
Because I watched Mac Martin's TikTok and he threw blame at a driver.
Here we go with the TikTok again. Anyways, Matt Martin blew a motor. Brandon Young didn't have the greatest of nights. The fans, by the way, picked BJ Gillespie, along with me and Brittany, who are now on top. Meredith picked Randy Titus last week, so she moves up the standings. This week is the Sportsman 150. Now, there's going to be probably a couple of changes to this next graphic, so we'll bring this up here. I've got Courtney Oblinas for this week. Long run race car. She knows how to get it done on the long run. We've seen it at Speed Weekend. We saw it almost at the season opener where she went to victory lane, or almost went to victory lane. Dylan, who do you have here?
I have last weekend's winner, Richard Atkinson. I mean, what a race, what a finish between him and Curtis Collins there in the 27 car. My word, I mean, I was on the edge of my seat watching that on Facebook. So I got a feeling he's going to be strong again in this 150, and I really hope it comes out because Papa needs a win here.
Brittany's not on the call with us tonight. I don't know where she is tonight, but she has Alexandra Oblinas. Meredith has Luke McLaughlin. Now, that may change because I have been hearing there may be a driver change in that race car, but it is the 11, and if not, she's got a backup plan for her pick, which would be the relief driver. Can't say anything right now because I haven't talked to Chris about it. Did talk to the relief driver. Not sure what's going to go on, so we're just going to leave it at that. Denver, once again, your pick is blank. Have you made a choice yet?
Can I pick Mother Nature?
We have a rain date of Sunday at 2.
Can I pick Mother Nature for that date too? Not to be negative.
This is why we can't get good help around here. Give us something. Give us a thought.
Yeah, a thought. Well, I've been trying to hold out and see. You know, there's been rumblings about some cars possibly coming, and I don't want to lock in a pick until in case we see a showstopper you know, maybe from Nova Scotia, make a last-minute decision to head up. So I'm just going to hold my cards close, but it's probably. Well, go ahead.
So what you're saying is Jordan Vino is coming, right?
I'm not saying one way or another if I know anyone who's coming.
We just put words in his mouth. So Jordan, come on up. So Denver needs
Okay.
somebody to pick. But yeah, we'll leave it there. And we mentioned we don't really have an entry list as of yet. So head over to timscorner.ca/fantasy picks probably tomorrow evening sometime, and you can make your pick to go racing and get this thing and move the fan count up a little bit. And if you do pick the right driver, you have a chance at winning a prize at the end of the season. Let's talk to the champion of the Torsek Lightning Car Division, the reigning champion, driver of the 141 car. It's Rational Richard Drake, getting ready to hop on the show. Richard, are you with us?
I'm with you, Tim, in Denver. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Are you guys ready? Obviously, Friday night, Scotia Speedworld, first race of the season. Everybody gets all hyped up for this. Are you ready to get going?
Hype-wise, we're absolutely ready, but I think if Denver gets his pick, we would welcome the extension of a week. That's for sure. So I got to put my money in his basket.
So there, and I don't think you guys are alone because it's a quick turnaround time to get the thing on the road. But with all this COVID stuff changing everything, it's been a wild couple of days, been a wild week or so. But obviously, let's go backwards and forget about this COVID 2020 season. Though you did have a good iRacing season, we'll get to that in a moment. But let's talk about 2019, that championship, finally getting that monkey off your back. Is there any pressure now going in, knowing that you're the champion? You might have that little bit of a target on your back.
No, I would say it's a lot less now. I mean, we learn something every season on our way to that championship, and that was something I really relished. Like, believe me, it was frustrating year after year, especially all the second places and thirds that we got. But kind of like Dave was saying earlier in the show, the Lightning class really is, it's a really great field. A lot of strong cars out there, and I never felt like I was stopping learning. So I felt every year that I was coming out, I remember thinking back, maybe my third or fourth year, I was saying to my dad, man, we just got to fix the car. I just can't believe I can't get anything else out of this. I'm sure I'm driving it great. And I don't think I was driving it terribly, but I guarantee you 2017 Richard could destroy 2014 Richard's performance out on the track. So at least I saw that personal growth, even if we weren't quite getting the results at the standings at the end of the year. But no, I feel like now that we have it, I didn't feel as any less of a driver without it, but just having it on the wall has really given me a lot of confidence. I can kind of relax now and really take it even more on a race by race basis.
And I know, Ken, that it seems like every time we go to the racetrack, was talking about tire management. Every time we head to the racetrack. So how important is trying to manage the tires on those race cars? We talk about pro stock guys, trying to conserve their tires over a 250 lap race. The Sportsman guys are going to go 150 in Gary this weekend. But for a 4-cylinder guy at Scotia doing 25 laps and the odd Torsek Twin 50, how big is tire management on those race cars?
Well, it's an interesting question, and I feel like iRacing is given me even more ideas about tire management that we can get to that later. But I'm interested to try a few things to run more of a saving line, because I like to go fast, Tim, and I'm somebody who gives 110% every corner of every lap, every inch of the straightaway. I'm just completely taking as much out of the car as I possibly can. And I think that's mostly okay, although I do remember that 50 lapper in 2019. I think there was twice I was involved in probably the closest finish Scotia had that year, and once was with Marshall Bezanson, and we had a tire go down on us on that final lap, and the car was able to hold together, but not quite as well as Marshall's, and he was able to put like literally just that nose above us for the lines. So if I think about that race, I'd say tire management is really important. But from the 4-cylinder perspective, I think it's more on a race-by-race basis. So you might be fine if you push as hard. Like, you're not going to notice the same level of wear a Sportsman driver would in the 100 or something like that. But when you get off the track at the end of the night and you're looking at your tires and you're wondering, does that right front have another feature in it? That was a conversation we had a lot, and we kept asking ourselves, and it's tough. It's hard to, sometimes you get a good tire. It might be the same brand as another tire you ran, and for some reason it's just a little better. There's not always a lot of rhyme or reason, and you kind of fall in love with and get emotional, with your tires. I remember we had a couple of Goodyear Eagles. One of them was just amazing. That tire went off. I tried another one, and Dave was saying earlier, the competition's so close. So that little tiny edge I had from some fluky tire was gone. So yeah, it's if you're going to be protective about something, be protective with your tires.
We are live and interactive here this evening. Be sure to drop us a question or a comment for Rational Richard, the 2019 Torsek Lightning Car champion and the 2021 TCM All-Star Showcase champion when it comes to iRacing. I'm going to talk iRacing in a second, but let's bring this thing full circle. You keep talking about your father and you keep talking about Ken, and I want to ask how you got your start in racing, because for those that don't know, your family's got a little bit of a lineage in this.
We do, and I bring him up because I'm just so proud to be a part of that. And all of my achievements, all of my successes, I feel so lucky to have had the career I've had to this point. And I'm going for another 70 years as well. So hope it keeps continuing. But no, he's taught me everything he knows, from driving to how to make a car handle. He had a really successful career as a crew chief. I mean, I believe he won his first championship as a crew chief at the age of 19. Back in '81 at Onslow, and he worked. He was on the behind the scenes and on the pit side for most of his career until he decided to go karting actually. And I have, it's one of my treasured possessions, is on the wall of our house by our trophy rack. We've got a little newspaper clipping, and it says Ken Zwicker quelled fears to race cars. And if you know him, that sounds kind of crazy, because he was just this rocket ship of a driver, so much confidence. What a great run he had whenever he was a driver. But it wasn't something that he first felt comfortable with. He was much happier being in the pits, and go-karting kind of changed that for him. And then sure enough, he gets a car, kind of like Dave, $50 I think he paid, so showing his age a little more there, I guess. But he went back out went out to the Thunder division and won his first race, and kind of snowballed from there. He got addicted, and toward the end of his Thunder career, he tried taking a neon out, and there were some complications with that. And I think I'm not 100% sure. It might have been the first neon tried at Scotia. We kind of tabled that for a bit, and I think it was about 5 or 6 years later, I debuted in 2010, and man, it was such an experience. I had been go-karting for about a year regularly at that point, and just I always, as soon as racing came into my life, I was obsessed with it. I absolutely loved the sport. And, I did a pre-rookie season in 2010, rookie in 2011. We had a lot of hardships. We had electrical gremlins and all kinds of stuff. But as frustrating as those were back then, I think I wouldn't change the path I've had, because it really taught me perseverance. And when you're trying so many things and they're not working, you got to keep being creative and coming up with new ideas. And there's a lot of creativity in racing. So yeah, I hope that's a direct answer, but basically a little summary of his career, and he's my inspiration. He's my racing hero.
David mentioned his most memorable win was his first win. What do you remember about your first win? Because you mentioned those electrical gremlins and everything kind of mounting into that, and then finally breaking through to victory lane. What do you remember about that first win in Halifax?
Oh, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but my memory is so acute for these things. I totally remember it. So it's the opener. I draw third, I believe it was. Yep, it was third. And we're there in the heat race, and Jamie Dillman, one of my longest, biggest competitors, has the outside pole. And there I was, probably being a little bit too cautious in the heat race, and I left enough of a hole for him to be able to slip in front of me. And once Jamie gets in front of you, you really don't have much opportunity to pass him. He is probably another one of my racing heroes for how well he holds the inside line. He doesn't mess up under pressure, so it's really difficult to get around him. And I came off, I finished third in that heat, and I said to my dad, gosh, I shouldn't have let him get in. And he's like, well, son, you know what you got to do in the feature. And I just glued my bumper to the guy in the pole, managed to sneak around Jamie, and I think we pulled off a pass on the inside around lap 18, and really showing how much racing your career develops. Is I wasn't the fastest car on the track at the time. Richie Moore was out in that field, and I had some luck in that he went into the tires in turn 4 at the beginning due to some incident, and he was coming for us, but that put him to the back of the race and gave me enough time just to be able to run away from a faster car. And I was overwhelmed. I wasn't expecting it. We had a podium finish in 2012 that I battled like crazy with a previous guest, Jeffrey Breen, for, and that was really my first taste of success. But to get a win as soon as I did after that was a real shocker to me. And I think it really set the stage for giving me the confidence I needed to move forward and get the others.
I want to talk about those others in a second, but I know we got social media over there. It's starting to pipe up a little bit, but don't be shy. Drop us a question, drop us a comment for Rational Richard. We want to keep Dylan Langell busy. Dylan, what do you got over there so far?
Well, at first, I just want to say, Richard, great to see you here on Zoom, and hopefully we get to see you on Friday. Hopefully, Mother Nature goes to, like, I don't know, PEI. No, not PEI. They're racing this weekend.
They can go there Friday. That's fine.
Sure. Well, they got to get testing in. But we've got a couple lightning drivers in the comment section right now, including a guest coming up after you, Tyler Hallahan. He wrote, Richard is a great driver to run door to door with. The whole crew is top notch. He's got that beautiful 133 hugger coming out this weekend. How cool does that ride look? And are you excited to get door handle to door handle with Tyler again?
Absolutely, man. I've got a wonderful history with Tyler in that he was actually the first friend I met at Scotia Speedworld. There were the people that my dad knew and introduced me to, but I remember being there as a rookie, really not knowing anything, not sure how I was going to fit into the division. And Tyler just came right over and introduced himself to me, and we just became fast friends ever since. And so it's great to see him back. I definitely missed him. I was happy and cheering for him throughout his sportsman years, but I got to say, selfishly, it's pretty cool having your buddy back on the track with you. And yeah, I think he's doing a wonderful thing with that car. It looks fantastic with the hugger colors, and I'm really excited to see what he puts together this year. He's definitely going to be one of the threats to win on a weekly basis.
And a newer guy going to the Lightning division is young Dylan Mcmillan. He just commented, can't wait to race with you on Friday. That's a kid moving up through the ranks here, going up with the big boys and the girls in this case. Any advice for Dylan on the track, or are you thinking, well, kid, figure it out yourself. You're my competitor.
Oh no, if people think my advice is valuable, I'm happy to give it. No worries there. Well, first of all, I'm really excited to race with Dylan. I raced with his dad for quite a while there, and yeah, I guess just be patient. I think the theme of probably my career has really been, especially comparing myself to my dad with all the success that he had. I put a lot of pressure on myself to try to be really amazing right out of the gate. And these things take time. There's going to be amazing moments where you're just on the biggest high of your life because everything went the way you wanted it to. But there'll be a lot of nights too where you're sitting there, you're getting towed back to the pits because you can't come off the track under your own power. And I think you could be frustrated. Don't beat yourself up for that. But the more you can have a positive attitude and just think forward to the future and not dwell on past events, that's the best thing. And don't muscle. I've really done my best to run as clean as I can every race, and I really feel I see that respect returned to me by my competitors. So that sort of rapport of being a clean driver, I think, really serves you well.
And this opening race too on Friday, do you think that everyone's just going to be a little, I'll call it maybe touchy on the gas pedal first race of the year, especially when we were supposed to get going in May? Now we're into July here. Do you think more mistakes could happen on Friday since it's a little later in the season and some guys may not have a ton of practice?
Definitely. I mean, if you consider any other professional sports, right? I mean, athletes are training all the time for pinpoint precision with whatever task it is that their sport demands. And we have a really long off season here in Nova Scotia. So it is tough. I think no matter how great you think you are, no matter how many years of seat time you have, that lag of a few months at the very least of not being able to be in your car and feeling out the track and reacting to the environment, that's going to have an effect. So from our experience, we've always been a really data-driven team, trying to look at the stopwatch, figure out how we can get the most out of anything. And I do see in the stopwatch that the times aren't quite what they normally are. So I don't know if people like to think it's people being impatient or hasty, but honestly, I think, when you're performing at the limits of adhesion, there's not a lot of room for error, and just take some time to get your feeling back.
So what are your expectations for Friday night?
If we could just show up at the track, I'm going to be happy because I want to go racing and I love racing. We had a relocation this year, so we don't really have a home base. Our home base is Liverpool now, which is really awesome. I love it down there. Parents just moved in the spring, and we don't really have a setup shop or anything yet, so it's kind of flying by the seat of our pants. And I'm probably we'll release this info. I'm probably going to be a little bit with a brand new setup because my car doesn't have a cage yet, which the Lightning cars need now, but my teammate Bruce's does. And he happens to be in the middle of the ocean at the moment with a new job of his, and he wants me to give his car a shakedown and see what we can do to tune it up. So I have taken his car out for practice before, but I haven't raced it. But it's very likely if we're able to make things happen down there on Friday night, it's going to be us testing out a car that's at least, not new to our team. It's got our setup, but new to me. So I think really we just want to put together, I want to show up, I want to have fun. I've missed it. And I want to do the best I can to run up front and try to give some feedback to my dad and make some changes to give Bruce a really fast car to come back to.
There you go, Tim. Breaking news here on your show again.
And I kind of want to expand on that a little bit, because we've seen this division grow in the last couple of years. And, you look at Kenny and Jamie and Chevy and those guys with Hillbilly Racing, and you look at the multi-car teams with the Smiths, and you guys have expanded into 3 cars. And obviously with COVID and everything changing, it ebbs and flows between 1 and 3 cars a night. But how cool is it, and how important is it to have teammates there to kind of bounce ideas off of?
It's really great. First of all, I just love having a big car count. I think it's not only healthy for the fans in the division, but I think the more cars that come out on a given night, it really makes everybody step up their game and perform at their best. And when you're out there with people, you have such racing's racing, and I'll do anything I can to pass my teammates, even on the last lap if I can. I'm not going to race them any differently than I do, anybody else out there on the field. But I think having somebody that you've just got that extra investment in, it really does sort of change the way you think about things. And actually, they say one of the best ways to make sure you really understand something or to learn something is to teach it yourself. And I think going out there and trying to think about what exactly the car is doing so that I can describe it to my teammates, and vice versa for them, so that we can kind of share our knowledge of how the car is handling in the corner. The act of just needing to even better articulate what you're feeling as a driver, I think leads you to better pinpoint what's going on with the car and give you ideas for changes you can make. So yeah, it's been a great collaboration.
I want to kind of expand on that car count thought that you had. We had Chris Mcmillan and Chad Sinton and Ashley Stevens a couple of years ago move into this division. Rick Stein returned a couple of years ago. Dave Young. The new names in this division in the last couple of years is really refreshing to this class. What's your take on this division growing? And we've had some of the veterans kind of move on. Scott Thibodeau's doing 2-wheel stuff now. What's your take on the path of this division?
Yeah, it's a good question. I honestly, the more the merrier. Racing is the most fun when you've got a lot of cars out there and you're battling. And right around the time I started was when we would have 3 heats. We had 30 car features, and I remember just being amazed because back then they'd pull us out into the infield for the heats, and so you'd get to watch from the center of the track out there with Ravishing Rick, and you'd see basically I guess I would have been in the first heat for a lot of that, but I remember, even when I made the second heat, I guess just seeing other racers and just feeling like a part of something that was really large was so cool and really exciting for me. And I think car counts are healthy. As the only part as a driver that's a little frustrating is it is getting really, really difficult to find neon parts in the years that we need. So the more people that are pulling from a pile of basically nothing makes it a little difficult to source parts, but I wouldn't change it. It's a lot more fun with more people out there.
We kind of had the conversation with Dave, and we kind of went the Jason Pickles route and the new cars that are coming in. Obviously, Chevy McDonald built a Cobalt, worked really well for him, went to Victory Lane. What's the next? About 10 years ago, 12 years ago, it was Dan Michaud that came in with a neon, and everybody jumps on board. Have you guys thought about what the next Lightning car might look like?
So that's a funny story, Tim, because back before I won the championship in 2019, my dad actually wanted to build a Cobalt. That's when, around the time we were debuting, I guess it was the 2018 season, we were debuting what would become the red car. Paige now has the pink car that we raced forever. And he wanted to build a Cobalt. He thought it would be kind of fast. And this was, probably around the same time Chevy was thinking of it. And I was adamant that I didn't want to do it. I really wanted that championship win. And it wasn't that I thought the Cobalt couldn't do it, but I really felt we could do it in the neon. And I felt we'd be going backwards if we tried something different. You asked me earlier in the show if the championship has kind of changed anything. I feel like now I'd be happy to try something totally different, and probably would like it even more if it's something no one else is running, just to be unique and try that. Chevy's really, really amazed me. I could tell you from being a competitor with him, he has been so fast, and that car is working really well, and he's a heck of a driver. There was a Mazda that came out as well, maybe a season and a half ago or so, and to be honest with you, I was a little afraid because I feel that car has a lot of potential as well. So I'd say probably there's going to be something that someone's going to find. I'm not sure what it'll be yet, but people are looking, and chances are something will work out. The Neons, I think when my dad was looking at it for the eligible cars for Thunder at the time, they had the best power to weight ratio. So he sort of had some kind of logic or rationale for why he felt it would be the best. So that something like that may play a factor as well.
We mentioned with Dave, we were talking about those drivers that he started racing with, and you know, I don't want to say retired because you don't retire as a race car driver, but is there any driver that you started racing with, you know, back in the Mark Campbell, Mark Mcmillan sort of days, the Jordan Smith, those sort of guys that you kind of like to get back in the seat and maybe swap a little paint with?
Oh, absolutely. I feel so lucky because this division, like, I mean, it probably sounds cheesy, but I really have made a lot of friends in this division, and I've got a history with everybody. I know how a lot of people drive. Everyone's got a different style, and I think everybody has different strengths that make them fun to compete against, you know. Jordan Smith has a sort of special place in my racing heart because at the time I joined, it was the Jordan Smith era. He was the guy to beat, so I really set my sights on him. And I know some people were getting frustrated with how dominant they were, but I guess coming from, you know, my dad's position, I just accepted, hey, people are fast, and Jordan was amazing. He was so friendly. He was willing to share any knowledge and help anybody out. And I just wanted to be able to run with him and compete with him. And one of my greatest racing memories is the first race I was able to pass him. And so it would be a real blast to share the track with him again. But yeah, geez, Mark Campbell, what a blast from the past. Mark Mcmillan, I mean, he's probably, I know from my dad's perspective, he's probably way too busy working to support his kid's racing career, but he'd be a welcome guest if he ever comes back in. And yeah, really everybody I've raced against, I've had a lot of fun with.
Yeah, he said he's retired. I don't buy it for one moment. I can see him probably taking the wheel at some point of that 192 car, even though Dylan has the control of it now. Looking back last couple of years, we talk about the mid 2015, 16 sort of era. It was you, Scott Thibodeau, and I think Devin Smith. It seemed like every single night it was you guys in the top three, maybe a different order on the podium every single week. But how cool was it to be a part of that dominating, that big three per se in that Lightning division? It
was awesome, and I think three is a really good number. If it was just two of us, I'm not sure it would have been even the same sort of atmosphere. They really caused me to step up my game. You couldn't mess up at all. The cars were so equal that it was really a lot of happenstance, a lot of traffic. But kind of as I was saying, you know, I remember Devin, kind of like Steve, I've always felt have had a better corner entry than I have. And I've really been a corner exit kind of guy. And Scott's just been really consistent, really strong in the center. It probably sounds like little differences, but I can still remember the ways in which their cars would handle a little differently. They take their line, their driving style a little differently. And I learned something from all of them. Every race I lost, I really analyzed and tried to think, you know, what was it? What could I have done better? And honestly, we had so much respectful competition. Those were some really great years. And yeah, we all caused each other to go a little faster. You just saw the times on the stopwatch throughout those years just kept coming down. We'd find another 10th somewhere, and you know, sure enough, the first one would do it, and then the next two the next week would be back right down there with them, and it was just sort of a race to see who could be the fastest.
We are live and interactive here this evening. Be sure to drop us a question or a comment. We'll get Dylan to get it on the air. But Denver, I know you've been quiet over there. What do you got for Rational Richard?
Tim, I kind of want to go towards the iRacing deal because Richard, that's really the only opportunities I've ever had to watch you race. But damn, you were pretty good on iRacing. First of all, how did you get started on iRacing?
Yeah, so I first heard about it years and years ago from Steve Matthews, who before Lightning even was a go-karting buddy of mine. And he's telling me how awesome it was. I always thought it would be really cool. For whatever reason, we never quite got into it. But around the time the pandemic started and Tim was running those events, I decided, you know what, I got to get in on this. This looks amazing. I miss racing too much. I really wanted to do it when, you know, we weren't sure what type of season we'd have last year. And I really, really want to get into something rear-wheel drive in real life as well. So I thought it would be kind of a pretty cool, I want to go super late model racing. So you know what, why not try it virtually first before I get there in real life? And yeah, I just kind of took to it. And once again, it was a whole new learning curve. Some things transferred, some things didn't. And Yeah.
So you had some big wins over the past winter, and always in contention to win. Well, what were some of the highlights, I guess, from winter 2021? There's COVID restrictions coming in and out of place, and and meanwhile you're over tearing up iRacing and winning a lot of races.
Yeah, the highlight for me was getting to race against a lot of people who I knew of from the racing world. Maybe I chatted to them a few times, or I certainly knew them from their car. But just the fact that all of the divisions come together on iRacing and everybody's able to race against each other from bandos to pro stock, I think that's really cool and really added something to the racing community. We really had this sense of unity, and I just basically did the same thing I did when I started at Scotia. Was I looked to the fast people, the people who were winning every week around the time I started with iRacing. So, Mike Alexander, Matt Barkhouse, everybody from Corey Hall Racing. And I just kind of studied their game. I wanted to see exactly what they were doing, and just put in a lot of practice and dedication to trying to get those lap times. I felt like I was used to the idea of handling on the limits of adhesion from my neon. That part wasn't too bad to get used to. So qualifying came a little quicker to me because that felt very similar to what I'm used to in the car. But the racing and the tire management was something totally different. And I have no idea if it's like that in real life, but I can tell you I definitely don't hold back like that in my neon. So I had to learn to pace myself.
You kind of mentioned, you want to eventually move up someday. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Are you in a Sportsman at Scotia Speedworld and a legend? Are you still, running with the Lightning 5 years from now, and then 10 years from now? Where do you see your career progressing?
Yeah, so I've got sort of two answers. The first of which is just, I love this sport, and as long as I can race something, I will race something, whether we've all got lawnmowers and we're trying to make them go fast. I just want to be participating no matter what, however that works out. The ultimate goal is I'd love to be in the Pro Stock Tour. I think it would be just a lot of fun. My dad's always been the biggest enthusiast about super late model racing. I'd love to just tour short tracks. I think that's, especially with iRacing. I mean, I love it all. The bigger tracks are fun too, but it sort of confirmed what my suspicion was, that short track racing is really my passion. I mean, I'd love to go to Oxford in a super late model in real life, anything like that. So 5 to 10 years, I don't know if we can make it happen, but if we can, or heck, if anybody has a super late model and they need a driver, I'm more than happy to provide that service. But I think no matter what's important for me is I know I want to race, and no matter what capacity that is, I'm going to be out. I'll find some way to be out there in something.
Is there any track in particular, whether it be in a Lightning car or in a pro stock, that you are itching just to get out and turn some laps on in real life? You've got to try lots out on iRacing, but we don't have any local tracks on iRacing. But is there any in Atlantic Canada you just can't wait to get out and try out?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to run all of them. Riverside is really, I mean, how can you not want to run at Riverside, right? I mean, the banking, the atmosphere, just the whole sense of an event. I mean, running something like the IWK 250 would just be really surreal, I imagine. It's hard to imagine exactly what that would feel like. But I'd say even locally, I think all the tracks have character and something to offer. 660, for whatever reason, whenever I've seen GoPros are there and just kind of looking at the shape of the track, that one's really interested me. I feel like just the way you take the corners is something that would be right up my alley. So I'd say if I were to take something in even a mini stock, that's probably where I'd want to go.
I mean, 660 has if you look at it from above, the 660 kind of has some similarities to a track like Oxford and those tracks down in Maine. And you proved you did pretty good at Oxford, so I'm sure you would take to that track real quick.
Yeah, I like those tight short tracks. I don't know why. There's lots of emotions at them, but I guess that's what I enjoy.
I'm going to throw it over to Dylan. Dylan, how's social media looking right now?
It could be a bit better. So come on, folks. We got one of the best Lightning 4-cylinder drivers here on right now. We've had two of the best, really, with Dave Matthews and Rational Richard Drake. Jason Pickles is still here, and he wrote the 195s looking real fast. That neon, that's Stephen Matthews. He's probably one of the heavy hitters this year, right, Richard?
Absolutely. Yep. There's a lot of drivers out there, honestly, that could keep me on my game. We didn't have the points standings, but last year, but I think we showed there was like 8 or 9 cars that could win on any given night.
We were talking about your iRacing career and how successful you've been this year. Is there a ton of stuff that you can apply from that to the real racetrack coming up that can help you land another championship?
Well, I want to try some things for sure. I'd say it's hard to know at times, right? I mean, I think I had the sense at first, well, a simulator is accurate, but first of all, we're running front wheel drive stuff, which is not at all really what we run on iRacing. So there's going to be some differences that you would expect there. And it's hard to know exactly to what extent things are going to transfer, but there's definitely some differences with braking, for example. I remember I tried trail braking and dragging my brakes when I first started out in the Neon, and I didn't like it, and I don't use any brakes in the corner right now in real life. But on iRacing, trail braking seems to be everything. It really makes a big difference going into the corners. So I want to revisit that. I don't have the sense that what I'm doing right now, even if it's been proven successful, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best. I'm sure there's other things I can optimize. So I want to try that, and I want to try being a little gentler on my tires. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, because if I'm starting at the back, I just want to go to the front, and there also isn't much time either. So you do have to, you got to get going. But I wonder if I do notice my car fades a little bit in the Neons. It's subtle, but again, when the competition's that tough, you don't want to be fading. So we tried fixing that with tire pressures, and it didn't really work. So maybe I just got to adapt my style and try to turn the wheel a little less, as weird as that may be.
The Iron Man, Drew McEachern, is here. He's watching, and he wrote, any plans on any East Coast Mini Stock Tour races now that they allow Neons? How about Riverside?
Oh, man. I mean, that's the dream. That I can't promise anything because I have no idea exactly how the summer's going to unfold for us. I think for sure the summer is going to be a kind of regrouping one for us. It's, I'm thinking of it like a sort of 10-year break. I'm hoping it's not a break from racing, but at least, we're trying to sort out where we're going to go with the next 10 years and what's our long-term plan for building a home base and that sort of thing. So I'd love to run that. I don't know if I'll be able to make it happen this year. I'll try. But if not, I think it's more likely we'd be able to put something together for the following season.
Would you be a pay driver? If someone said, hey, listen, we got to have someone in the car, and they tap you on the shoulder, doesn't matter what ride it is at Riverside, would you do it?
Absolutely. 100%. They don't need to pay me either. I love this for the sport. I'll do it for free.
There you go, folks. Hey, Stephen Matthews is watching, and he wrote, Richard is a class act on and off the track, and if it was not for him and Ken for giving me the opportunity, I would not be where I am today in racing. All them carp on Friday nights really paid off. Thanks again, Richard and Ken. So he's watching, and some kind words for you and your father there, Richard.
Thanks a lot, Steve. That means a lot. And I mean, I got to put it back at him in that he was one of my mentors. I so looked up to Steve and still do. And he gave me a lot of pointers. So I'm just glad that the feeling is mutual.
One more from me before we really dive in. I know you and Denver were kind of touching on it. So with the good news that Tim was allowed back in
now, especially if we end up needing to do a part-time season, there's no reason we can't say, hey, we're going to take a week and try somewhere else. It's definitely not for lack of want to try. So yeah, heck, things are strange right now. These are unprecedented times, right? So you may indeed see us at some other track. In fact, we've got to actually, I mentioned that I might be running Bruce's car because mine doesn't have a cage yet. We have a dirt track that's like a street away from us in Liverpool right now. And I am strongly considering running the 141 there if they've got any openings for it. So I may even try some dirt, Dylan, and practice up and maybe come to Valley.
You're gonna roughneck race. That's what that track's called, roughneck racing.
Yep, I we're really thinking about it.
Hey, if it's down the road, might as well. One more before we throw it to Tim. Brandon Campbell says, hey, where's Paige? It hasn't been black and flagging anyone lately.
Yeah, I know, right? She misses it too. She had a lot of fun with you guys running the iRacing things, and we're not sure. Her car needs even more work than mine. It still needs a transmission, so it'll be, we might share the ride, and I might even get to be a support role for her at Scotia, which would be pretty fun. And assuming we're unable to get a 2-car solution worked out. It's a long haul from Liverpool, so I'm thinking that might be our best option for this year. So yeah, really for us, it's just going to be a fly by the seat of our pants type of thing, and just try to have as much fun as we can, do as much as we can with the sport. And honestly, I had so much fun watching Paige, my wife, for anybody who doesn't know, go out and run the 114, and the camaraderie of that, and getting to share in the sport with her was really something else. And I'd so look forward to getting to go out and be her crewman and watch her hopefully take her first feature win.
I keep cutting off Tim. I know he said something on the tip of his tongue, but I want to just bring up one more thing, unless it's something drastic, Tim.
Well, no, just wanted to throw out here. I know Brandon Campbell put the warning 99 warp in the chat. We're used to doing that on the iRacing side, but I know Paul's involved in a little bit of storm action down in Connecticut right now. So if something does happen, that we do have a little bit of a blip. I know Denver, you had thunderstorms today in Fredericton. I thought the Atlantic Modified Tour was coming to Scotia Speedworld because we felt the thunder when we were testing earlier today. So if we do have a little bit of a blink or a little bit of a hiccup or what have you, there are storms in the area. And by area, I mean, apparently it's a vast area because it's happening all the way from Connecticut to here. But Dylan, I'm having fun listening to you guys. Continue on.
Yeah, I mean, we were under a severe thunderstorm watch for an afternoon. Actually, one more thing. Rob Bonus was golfing in Shubenacadie. He posted on Facebook, said, what a lovely day. So sunny. An hour and a half later, he posted Facebook Live, and it looked like a hurricane was passing through. So he got a dose of the big old storm earlier.
That is black flag number 1 for Mr. Bonus this year. Continue.
Richard, there's been so many combos we've had the pleasure of chatting with and seeing on the track. We've got brother and brother. We've got sisters racing each other, fathers and daughters, fathers and sons, of course. Husband and wife on the track, not too common. How has that been for you and Paige since you two have been racing with each other?
It's like everything in our marriage. We're really so lucky. It's so collaborative. It's so supportive. I just wanted to see her do well, especially because, I obviously I care so much about her and her career, but it was also something special to get to see her running in the car that I was also so attached to, right? I mean, that was the whole Devin, Scott, Richard era that Tim mentioned earlier. I did all of that in that car that she was running. And so we were through a lot, and it was just every car is different. They're both fast. The one I won the championship in that car, but they do handle a little differently. They just you can feel it in the steering. The other one's a little more bent. It's got character to it. So I had a lot of fun trying to figure out how to fast track her to tame the beast. I knew she could do it all herself, but I wanted to see her have some fast success, and we didn't know how long everything was going to work out for that season. So I just did my best to accelerate her career. But honestly, it's all her. Her driving is just amazing, and I remember a couple of times being side by side with her in a heat race. I thought, okay, I'm planning my moves. I'll just pass Paige on the outside and go over here. And it's like 5 laps later and I'm still there. And I hadn't accounted for that at all. I was just so impressed with her speed. And I think she's got a heck of a career ahead of her if she decides to stick with it.
All right, Tim, we'll finally go back to you now.
We're running a little bit short because we got Tyler. Tyler Hallahan always chomps the bit to get on here, Richard. So we got Tyler waiting in the wings, but we keep talking about family and having Paige involved, and Ken is the crew chief. But I know you have 2 crew chiefs that help out, that are at the racetrack every single Friday night. Most of the time they stay in the trailer in the pen. But how are Friday and Dusty, and how's Mom doing?
Oh, thanks for asking, Tim. They're all great. Yeah, we got our 2 little adorable puppies that from a young age on, we just kind of introduced them to the sport. And Dusty likes to bark at stuff, but every now and then you hear a motorcycle going out down the road. It sounds like a legend car. He doesn't even notice. It doesn't faze him at all. He's just like, of course, we're going racing. That must mean. So no, they're doing great. And yeah, that was so cool to hear Dave say actually that his mom had been at every race. I mean, I can say the same. I just feel so much support and love from my family. I'm really fortunate that way, and it's undoubtedly contributed to my success. So having Mom there with me every step of the way, and her just support and enthusiasm. And she really, what's so cool is, you think, well, it's great, she supports her son and stuff, but she's got a real technical knowledge as well. I mean, she's been with us on those family nights when we were frustrated and trying to figure out what we could do better, and contributing just as much as anybody else to try to figure out what we can do to improve our car and go faster. So it really is a team effort. And I mean, you see it in the big leagues with NASCAR, but at the local stage, it's been productive and working out for us too.
You mentioned the family. Who else is on the team that helps you guys get to the racetrack each week? And I know you guys don't do it alone. Who's on the race car sponsorship wise?
Yeah, thanks. I got my other mother, Robin. I got to give her a big shout out. She came on and basically helped us win that championship. So really awesome to have her. Bruce, my teammate, I mean, he basically was responsible for all kinds of work on that car and making it fast. We've had a ton of people over the year, Eric Larder, Janetta, McGinley, Cameron McGinley. I mean, just countless people have come out to support us. And Kobe's Auto Recyclers, they started with us, with my dad back in his Thunder days, been with us ever since. I went to go visit Derek Kobe down at his place in Blandford just this last winter, and it was really great to see him. And I can't thank him enough. He's done so much for our team. So big thanks to him. Big thanks to B&R Roofing for all their support over the years, and obviously to Kinetic Auto, Kinetic Racing. We're gonna hopefully set our sights on another great few years.
Denver mentioned earlier that there's a lot of fans from outside the province that don't get here on a Friday night because travel wise, being of work night, what have you. We're broadcasting on Tim's Corner TV live on Friday night for the first time from the CARSTAR Weekly Racing Series. So everybody can watch what we do on a Friday night. I know this racetrack means a lot to you as much as it means to everybody else here. Give us a sales pitch. If there's somebody in New Brunswick, if there's somebody in Prince Edward Island or beyond that wants to see what we do and what we put on for Magic on Friday night, why should they tune in Friday to Tim's Corner TV?
The racing is top notch. It is side-by-side action. It's jam-packed. And just the caliber of the racing on top of the sportsmanship makes it a really unique place. I'm always amazed, half the time I'm rushing trying to get in my car to be on time for the race because I was so enthralled with the previous race. I'm sitting there at the fence trying to watch every last minute of it. Everybody out at Scotia just tries so hard, runs so well, and the show is really something else. So you got to give it a try if you haven't. And big congratulations, Tim, to you and to everybody at Scotia for putting that together. That's really awesome.
We're looking forward to it Friday night, and we're looking forward to seeing you and the crew on Friday night with the race car and the whole crew coming out to the racetrack. Richard, this has been fun. Thanks for hopping on with us, and we'll see you Friday night.
Thanks a lot, Tim, and everybody buckle up for Tyler. I'm sure he's going to have some amazing stories for y'all.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. Thank you, Richard. Now, before we go into our next guest with Tyler Hallahan, want to bring up, we talked about iRacing before, and let's bring up the Firecracker 400 because it is ongoing right now. First of all, we've got two drivers that we kind of want to watch here, including Dylan Duvall, driver of the number 41. Excited to have him a part of the family here with Tim's Corner Motorsports, and he and John Adams, a part of Vidane TV and a part of our crew for a long while as well in the race. Paul, this race is ongoing. I did get a message here already from Gordon that said apparently Dylan had a little bit of a moment, but what are you seeing over there?
Yep, got John Adams' stream over on Twitch, taking a look right now. Once we wrap up the show here tonight, I'm actually flying down to the spotter stand at Daytona to spot 4 of the 47 car, Shenandoah Shine, jumping on as a primary sponsor there. A little bit of connection issues. John Adams was actually running 14th after starting in the back. Connection dropped due to iRacing. But Dylan Duvall, he's up there. He's in the top 10, just broke into 10th position. So exciting racing. Great seeing these two guys race hard, racing with Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now at Daytona. So pretty cool to have that event put on by Landon Castle, Parker Kligerman, and David Schildhouse as well.
Yeah, and be sure if you're watching us here on Tim's Corner Live, we've got a 20-something minutes left of the show. So head over and check them out as soon as we're done, or you can check it out on their Twitch and all their great partners there. It's the Firecracker 400 presented by Blue Emu on eRacer, one of the biggest iRacing special events, standalone events of the summer. Speaking about a guy who's done a little bit of iRacing in his day, we welcome in Tyler Hallahan, driver of the number 133 Toursec Lightning car. Tyler, are you ready for Friday night?
Almost. I'm pretty close.
So I know you get excited about going racing. So where is your level right now?
It's probably about a 15 or 10, I'm going to say.
It's been a long winter. I know you got a new to you race car in the 2020 season, got a couple of races on it. So how excited are you to hit the racetrack? What was the preparation like over the winter to get this car ready?
There was a lot of work into the car. We redid the whole body. I got to thank my buddy Jake Miller. He's got about probably 60 hours of body work on that car to make that thing look top notch like it does. And it's just, it was a long winter after my grandfather passed. That's pretty much when I started rebuilding the car. Right after he passed, I went to the shop, started building the car, and I got a lot of help from my friends. And we actually had to do some motor work to it because we found some parts broken in the motor. So it should actually work even better than last year. But I was able to get 3 top 5s out of the, I think, 5 races we did. So I was pretty happy with the car. I just got to get myself used to the track again because I was out of the seat for a little while. I used to race back with Greg a little while ago, and we had some success. And I actually managed to get a podium finish with that car back in the day.
Well, races are won and lost in the shop, right? So it's good you found those problems now.
Oh, very true. Races are very like won in the shop and lost in the shop. If you don't spend time on your car, you're not going to be fast. You got to put hours, lots of hours on your car. If you don't, you'll just probably be at the back or not where you want to be.
So looking at that race car that you had last year, that was the old Matthew Barkhouse race car. So transition-wise, you've had a couple of Lightning cars yourself, but always stepping into a new race car is a new adventure. So how quickly did you get accustomed to that, and how cool was it to get up there and battle with those top 5 finishes?
It was awesome. Like usually early in my career when I started in the Lightning division, I was usually anywhere between 7th and 10th. And then last year when we got that car, I knew it was a good car. I knew I was going to have to get used to it. It was going to be a different experience. And to be honest with you, it's the best handling 4-cylinder I've ever owned. When you take a car, you can go from the outside lane and barely turn the wheel and get to the bottom. It's a pretty good feeling.
We are live and interactive here this evening. Be sure to drop us a question or comment for Tyler. We'll get Paul to hop the photos up on the screen of the race car because Mikey and the crew did a spectacular job on this. Obviously we know the answer, but what was the inspiration behind it, and why did, because your grandfather has so many iconic paint schemes, why go with the Hugger?
The Hugger to me seems to be the one that stands out the most. If I remember correctly, I believe it's one of the first schemes he drove when he came to Nova Scotia from Ontario. And it actually used to be number 28 when he first drove it. And then it went to 33. And actually, like on the trunk lid of my car, I have a picture of the car that we based the scheme off of. And also it's included in my little tribute that I have for my grandfather, because he was a pretty big part, pretty much my biggest mentor. And I miss him a lot, and I kind of wish he was here to see the car, but I know he's up there watching and he's smiling.
How excited are you to debut this race car on Friday night? Because looking at the pictures of this race car, Mike and the crew and you did a phenomenal job putting it together. How excited are you to debut this thing on Friday night?
Oh, I'm beyond excited. I can't wait to get out there. I'm really hoping I can get my first feature win this summer. It was the last thing that I talked to my grandfather about before we went to the hospital. We went to his house and I looked at him. I said, "Papa, I've been racing for this is my 11th season and I haven't won yet." And he put his hand on my knee and he just said, "It takes time." I was like, 11 years. But he just said, it takes time. It will come. So if I just take any advice he gave me, I just take it, I put it in the bank, and that's how I drive. I base my whole career off of him.
You've had some close calls in your racing career, though, knocking on the door of victory lane. What do you remember over these past few years? Any highlights that you can think back on and coming so close to getting that victory?
I guess my very first memory from, especially the Lightning class, was actually back in 2011. It was actually me, Richard, and Harry Breimer Jr. We finished 3 wide for 7th. And that's just how hard and competitive we drive against each other. We're all buddies, but once we put the helmet on, we get a little more antsy, a little more aggressive, but we still have fun doing it. We try to be clean as possible. And also another good memory would be when I got 3rd in Greg's car. But actually that night, Greg was actually supposed to drive the car, and he had his grandfather pass away, sadly. And I was able to get 3rd. I led a lot of the laps, and we actually gave the trophy to his mom. So for everything that happened, it was just kind of a nice thing to do, and it felt great to get 3rd that night. It was just because that year it was pretty much just the same 3 cars getting top 3 each night, and it felt really good to finally get up on that podium.
We just had Richard on, and you've been involved in this division for just as long as he has. And looking at the division from the late 2010s up until now, what's the biggest change you've seen in this Torsek Lightning car division?
The amount of cars that can win. I remember when I first started, there was probably only between 3 and 5 cars that were really fast, but now there's probably, I'm going to say at least between 10 and 12 that they can win on any given night. It's just amazing how far the drivers have come and how much they figured their cars out and figured the track out, and just the lap times just keep getting faster and faster. And it's great to see, and it makes it great competition.
We're going to go to Dylan in just a moment, but I see Big Daddy Kenny Hopper's watching. Can we tell any Kenny Hopper stories?
Oh, I just seen him last night, actually. He was at the shop. Well, actually, we were talking about this last night, too. There was a race. He was in his Honda. I don't think he was actually too happy with me, but we joke about it now. And we were going down the front stretch at Scotia. And I just looked over at him. I said, "Oh, look, there's Big Daddy." So I gave him a little door rub. No, I've always liked Kenny. He's fun to race with. He's a good guy on and off the track. And I actually worked with him a few years back. So Kenny's pretty awesome. And same with Lawrence. I got to give a shout out to Lawrence for last year after the race we had for my grandfather. I was a little bit down. You know, I finished 8th, but I wanted to be up on the podium. But that day, just the cards didn't fall into our favor. But Lawrence kind of just talked to me in the at the tech line there. He just said your grandfather would just be happy that you were on the track. And I kind of took that to heart, and it kind of meant a lot to me.
And I know Lawrence has been busy getting that track ready for you guys on Friday. And they painted the leaderboard today. They're getting ready to paint the walls. And I know Lawrence is instrumental in doing everything that we do at the racetrack at Scotia on not only just a Friday, but throughout the week as well. Tomorrow is supposed to be a holiday. I know for some of us in the racing industry, there's absolutely no holiday when race day is the next day. So hats off to Lawrence and all the crew out there. I know Cecil was out there today as well, making sure everything was ready to go. So I'm just excited. I might be. Your excitement level is high. I'm right there. I don't know if I can get there, but I'm pretty damn close. Speaking of guy that gets excited about race day, Dylan Langell, what do you got on social?
Well, Big Daddy's not done yet. He wrote, "Tyler, whose wheel came off when you got 3rd?"
That was Kenny's wheel. I remember he passed me a few laps before, and I wasn't going to catch him. I can tell you that. His car was moving that late, and I seen the wheel come off. I felt bad, but at the same time, I was like, boom, that puts me back in it.
What is so fun about this Lightning division at Scotia Speedworld? Because it just seems like that's the division that's really growing there, aside from, your legends and your bandos of the younger generation. But the Lightning always has a strong number of cars there.
I would say it's because of the racing and just the drivers. Just all the drivers get along. There's some nights you're gonna get in skiffles with drivers, but you just take it like a grain of salt. You move on to the next week and you go on to the next race. But the competition, it's just so stiff. The racing is so hard. Like we'll go 3-4 wide. I remember the first race last season, we had no fans. I think it was the hardest I ever had to drive. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, we have no fans, but we were just so excited to get out there. We drove our hearts out.
Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but are Lightning and Thunder racing with each other again this year?
We will find out on race day.
Okay, because Jason Pickles wrote for you, Tyler, that he can't wait to run bumper to bumper with you again last year. How did you feel about that, having the Civics on with the Neons at the same time?
I don't mind it. Like they're a little faster than us. We got the power to keep up, but they handle a little better. They got the little bit of a better tire, but it just makes for better racing. And I remember last year, actually, in my heat race win, I battled Jason Pickles side by side for the first few laps, and that was the most fun I ever had the whole season. It was just a fun race, and if they got to race Civics with us again, I'd be more than welcome to have them out with us.
That's all we got so far, Tim.
Yeah, so be sure to drop us a question or a comment here on Facebook, and we'll get to it. Denver, I know you're chomping at the bit over there. What do you got?
Tyler, I want to ask you one of your favorite racing moments ever. If you had to pick one, whether the first time on the track or anything, what would you say is your favorite racing moment?
I'm gonna have to say my Sportsman heat race win, because I actually got that win in a memorial scheme to my Aunt Debbie, who passed away in 1984 at Riverside Speedway.
So I want to talk a little more about that. You come from a racing family. What's it like to be, I guess you're third generation driver?
Yeah, third generation. Yeah.
So what's it mean to have that, that family history?
I think it's pretty awesome. I try to go out to do the best I can and kind of keep the family name going, but I put a lot of pressure on myself to do well, and because I've always wanted to win, and I have. That's the biggest thing I got to get off my bucket list summer is get a heat race win and a feature win.
I threw this question at Richard earlier. 5 years from now, where do you see your racing career progressing?
I would like to still be in the Lightning class with the Neon that I have now. If I can keep the thing together, I might weld a few more pieces on her by then, but that's okay. But I wouldn't mind being back in the Sportsman, or maybe even get a chance to go up the pro stock, but that all depends about, getting seat time, because that's a whole different animal of a car.
So having run the Sportsman and then moved back down to the Lightning, did that experience from the Sportsman car, how did that help you as a driver when you moved back into the Lightning?
I would say it helped me learn the track better, because, the Sportsmans are a little bit quicker. They're a little bit harder to drive. The wheel-wheel drive car, they're going to spin out easier. And it gave me more, I guess, ability to kind of know where my car is, because it's a bigger car. We didn't have spotters, so you're only relying on a little spot mirror, because I don't want a rear view mirror, because my grandfather would have just smashed it off the window anyway, because he would just say, you don't need that. You got to look ahead of you, not behind you.
So looking at some of the other tracks around, do you have any plans or desires or anything on your bucket list to travel to any racing this year or beyond?
I would like to try Riverside for the mini stock tour, and I want to try 660 on Speed Weekend if I can. It all depends on funds and everything. I would like to do a little bit of traveling, but the first race I'm definitely going to debut the car is going to be at Scotia Speedworld. All
right, Tim, I'm going to throw it back over to you for a bit.
So let's look at this season coming up. Obviously, we don't have a schedule. We haven't had the answer whether we're doing points or not. But what would you be happy with? You talked about the heat and the feature win. We always usually have the Torsek Twin 50s. What are you most looking forward to on a Halifax side of things for Friday nights?
I'm going to say those 50 lappers. Those 50 lappers. I would love to win one of those 50 lappers. I think if I could get a 50 lapper win for my first win, that'd be a pretty big moment in my career.
And looking at the end of the season, obviously the race for your grandpa last year, the Lightning cars are back on the card at the end of the season in September, if that is the last race of the year after the schedule realigns and what have you. How cool is it to race with those pro stocks on the Pro Stock Tour finale?
Oh, I think it's awesome, because they're the big show. They're the big guys, like that's what everyone dreams of getting into someday. So if it's just to be the undercard for them, there's usually more fans. You get to show off your car, you get the, your sponsors, and you just get to get your name out there. And to have them as the card above us, it's great. I love it.
Now, you've been doing some iRacing. We talked to Richard about his iRacing exploits, and I know he's raced with you guys a little bit on Sunday nights.
Yeah.
Talk about the league you guys run on Sunday nights, because I know you guys run with some other Canadians, and it's a great little deal. Talk about that league.
Well, myself and Greg Snellgrove, we actually started the league. It's called CARSTAR, and we actually have a website, CASTAR.net. We're actually in our second season. We have 2 races left of our season. We have won the round of 8 of the playoffs right now. I sadly am not in the round of 8 because I lost a tiebreaker to Greg.
Of all people, right?
Of all people, and I raced in his basement. Hence, this is where I'm at now. As you can see, there's a couple of 122 pictures behind me. We had to give Greg some rep tonight.
That's not your flag, right?
No, that's Greg's. That's Greg's. I never won a heat race in that car. That car didn't like me in the heat races. But no, all league is. I love the league. We got a great group of guys. We got guys from Canada, guys from the States. When we usually average anywhere between 15 and 18 cars on a given Sunday night race.
So obviously you and Greg race together on the real racetrack. You race on the virtual racetrack, but you can't really throw anything at each other when you're on the real racetrack. So is there any tense moments when you guys are racing together on the virtual track?
Oh yeah, there's usually a lot, especially if we're just doing fun races in the street stocks. Actually, the last finish we had, I think I beat him by 0.004 at the line. But no, we have a lot of good battles online, and to be honest with you, I can't wait to race with him in real life here next week, because we're getting his car ready for next week.
Well, that's what I was about to ask. How close is his car to getting ready, and how excited are you to share the racetrack again with Greg?
Oh, I think it's going to be awesome. Like we raced with each other in 2016 in the same car, but it's never the same when you get to race against your friends, especially I've known he was one of my first friends when I moved up here from Liverpool. So, I think it's going to be great, and I can't wait to go door to door with him and maybe even feed him some bumper.
Obviously, this is going to be a fun season, and everything kind of thrown together with public health guidelines, getting this deal together. And we mentioned to Richard earlier about it. It's going to be streamed on Tim's Corner TV. For those that are in New Brunswick, that are in Prince Edward Island, from around the globe that want to watch you race, that might be watching tonight, give us a little bit of a sales pitch for those folks. Why should they come on and watch this show on Friday? Besides coming to cheer you on and watch you race.
Well, besides coming to see the Hugger make its Scotia Speedworld debut, all the fans, you're going to want to come out. It's great racing. It's a great time. You're going to have fun. Like, there might be a few wrecks, but we're going to put on a good show. We'll usually, the lightning curves especially, we can usually go start with the green flag, right to the checker flag. The same with all the divisions. It doesn't matter which division it is. They're all great. You know, some are better on each given night, but it's just a great time all around. It's great family fun.
Now, let's have some fun. Obviously, the canteen's not open on the grandstand side. It's going to be open on the pit side, though. I know you come usually prepared to a race, whether it is a virtual race or a real race. We're putting together the 333 back in January. I think. What did you have sitting beside your cockpit?
Oh, I think I had like a bag of Cheetos and some energy drinks and probably some cookies.
You had some like Subway.
Yes, I did have some Subway.
You had a breakfast burrito from McDonald's.
Yes, I had. It was a cold breakfast burrito at the time I ate it. Yeah. But I love food. I'm pretty much food driven.
So when we go to the racetrack on Friday night, are you looking forward to the canteen food?
Oh, I am. Yeah, I am. I got to get one of those poutines.
Is there anything else that you're going to bring to the racetrack? What's the go-to meal and what's the post-race meal after you leave the racetrack after a good night?
Probably a Big Mac meal, just because I love McDonald's and like it helps me keep my figure, I think, because of my high metabolism.
Well, it's the only thing that's open in Elmsdale at the end of the night, right?
Yep. I can take the trailer right through the drive-thru.
There you go. Last call on social. I know social's been a blaze here this evening. We'll hand it over to Dylan one more time. Anything over there? Any final questions for Tyler Hallahan?
Big Daddy says go to a pro stock.
I'll try, buddy. I'll try.
I've got one question for you, Tyler. With that special paint scheme, the Hugger, and you're not the only driver who's got that this year too, with Tyler Haas as well. Are you going to be a little careful those first few races to not scuff up that beautiful paint scheme?
Oh yeah, for sure. To be honest with you, probably the first scratch I put it on, and I'm probably going to get out and be a little upset. But it's a race car; it's going to get scratched. I just got to get that through my head. But that's that's what happens. You're going to race hard, and it's going to happen. And Tyler Haas's car, that blew me away. That thing looks amazing. That is awesome. My grandfather, he would love that.
For those that don't know, with the Hot Rod Classics, the Vintage Racing Series, Tyler Haas is going to be making his debut in a few weekends, and he's got a Jim Hallahan tribute Chevy, and it looks like the Hugger from years past. It looks so beautiful. You said it. You were taken away. I mean, you guys revealed your cars within like a week of each other, and we got two Huggers going to be on the track.
Oh yes, I think we're going to have to get together and get a picture of them side by side.
Oh yeah, at the Cat 250 weekend, the 250 weekend in August, we got to get that done
for sure. I would love that.
With the border open and everything, Tyler, you kind of mentioned you'd like to hopscotch different places. Besides Scotia, what's the one track? And I guess we'll say, besides Riverside 2, outside of Nova Scotia, what track do you want to bring that number 133 to?
To be honest with you, all of them.
Okay.
I'd love to go to all of them, but mainly I'm going to go to Petty. I want to go to Petty at least once. And I'm going to take it to Shediac for the championships. I usually do every year when I have a car. I was going to last year, but then I had some issues. But we hope to go to Shediac because for some reason, I always run better at that track.
Is it because it's a bit flatter, or what's the secret for your success there?
It could be a bit flatter or more about maybe a little bit less braking, but you don't get to use a lot of brake anyway because most of the tracks around here, you want to keep your momentum up. If you don't keep momentum up, you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Well, that's all we got for now, Tim. So thank you all for the questions.
Well, you're missing the rollover trophy from Shediac, though. And I know Kenny's watching, so I know at least he has that one up on you, right?
Yes, that's Shediac. But a funny story, I was actually down at Valley Raceway, and Jamie Dillman let me get this car.
And I forgot this. Oh my gosh.
4 laps into it, I was like, I was just, I was driving in a little hard. I was like, I wonder if I can drive this in as hard as you do on pavement. I found out the hard way, you cannot. And then I hit the big tractor tire, I bounced out, and Terry Moore caught my, I think it was passenger door, and I rolled the car on its roof. And it was actually pretty fun. I'm not going to lie. I was laughing in the car when the medical crew got to me. they got to me and they said, "You okay?" And I said, "Flip this thing over. Let's see if it will start again." And Jamie took it pretty well too, because he actually told me before I went out. He said, "I've never seen anyone roll one of my cars before, but leave it to me and I'll get her done."
I think that was the exact opposite reaction of what Kenny had in Shediac when he rolled his car. So he told me, he said, "I always wanted to roll over a race car just to see what it feels like, and I never want to do it again." So I think he had the exact opposite reaction, but I know Kenny's been doing some, dabbling in some dirt down there, or at least playing around. So maybe we can get both of you on the racetrack down there at some point and maybe have a dirt showdown.
That would be pretty cool. I would definitely be interested in doing that. Kenny, the offer's out there, buddy.
So if you're keeping score, this is episode 22 at Tim's Corner Live. We have Miramichi duels back and forth. We got Valley Raceway back, and Dylan, we're building something here.
I'd like Greg Banks know.
Yes, absolutely. And if that fails, I will let Barry know up in Miramichi. Tyler, this has been fun. We're coming up at the top of the hour. I know you have a lot of sponsors on the race car. You have crew that helps you get to the racetrack every week. Who makes that for you?
I got to thank, most importantly, I got to thank my mom and dad, especially my dad. He comes up to the shop. He comes to the track all the time. He's my crew chief. He keeps me sane. He keeps me, level head. And my mom, she you can say she's half car owner because she paid for half the car. She actually gave me all her tax money last year to help pay for the car, which was nice. It's great to have, your mom and dad support you and your whole family support you. If it wasn't for the family and all my friends and my crew, Sean Brown, he's one of my mechanics. I got to thank Tony Murray for going over my motor over the winter and freshening it all up, getting it all good. And Jake Miller again for all the body work. My buddies Nick, they come up and help, and also Harry Belimo Jr., because a couple of weeks ago he came down to the shop and he got the car running. And sponsors, I got to thank Dartmouth Metals, BTT Services, Eyestone Renovations, Emmy's Doggy Spa, and who am I forgetting here? Grandy's Cleanup, and Alexander Signs. A shout out to Scott and Mike Alexander for the fantastic vinyl job on my car. It was a pretty emotional day. It was hard putting it all together, especially the back trunk lid. That's my favorite part of the car, and I just hope it doesn't get hit, but I can make a new one.
They're race cars, right?
Yeah.
It looks fantastic. Can't wait to see it in person on Friday. Tyler, this has been fun. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you Friday night.
Thank you. See you Friday.
That's Tyler Hallahan, driver of the number 133. And if you want to listen back to this, you can listen to it on your favorite podcast platform. They're all listed on your screen as well. And Apple is also a part of that we don't have on the graphic there. We want to thank our partners as well. And this has been a week. I actually have 3 new marketing partners this week after last week at Speedway 660. For those that are on the screen, thank you for being a part of this. We want to welcome back AE McKay Builders. We want to welcome back Brent Enterprise. And we want to welcome Adio Tire also on board. So thank you for those 3, Daniel, Glenn, and Andrew, for helping us out this season. And you'll see their logos coming up on upcoming races, including this weekend, July 3rd at Speedway 660. We are back in the Gary Woods for the Sportsman 150. Denver, as you eloquently mentioned, there is a rain date of July 4th. That race will be on demand on Tim's Corner TV. Scotia Speedworld will be live coming up on July 2. There is no rain date for that one, so if we rain out, we rain out. It's the same deal every Friday night. We'll be racing on July 9th as the next race, and then you asked me what divisions are racing. I'm going to tell you I don't know, because I know Ken is redoing the schedule right now. We know at this point, tentatively, we are racing every Friday night until probably the end of September, and who knows, if we try to make up races, we might go deeper into the schedule, but keep your eye on scotiaspeedworld.ca for all the information, and a huge thanks to everybody that helps put this together. Gentlemen, that's another 2 hours. That was fun. Denver, I know you're looking forward to Speedway 660 this weekend with the Sportsman 150. I know Brandon's going to be back, but I'm excited to have you back in the production chair.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to get to try out this new, wireless camera. It's going to be the first time I'm going to be in the production chair with it. So, Norm knocked it at the park last week, and Brandon did a great job. John Forsyth, as always. And I'm looking forward to Saturday or Sunday or whenever, and, getting to have some fun with some toys. And Dylan, I really hope you better I hope to see you. You better make the trip up. It's been a long time since last year.
Yeah, middle of September, maybe end of September. It's been a while. I mean, hey, the girlfriend's going away this weekend. I've got cat sitters ready, so
there you go.
May have to go to IHOP first and then over to the Geary Woods.
I drove by Magnetic Hill today. IHOP is still standing, so just for your reference, you can go to IHOP on the weekend.
Waiting for me. It's been waiting for me.
I know it has been, and I know you're probably going to be camping. Max and Shauna hooked me up this week with the extra week that I was staying up there. Huge thank you. First to Barry Richard at Speedway Miramichi and Max and Shauna Roy at Speedway 660 for giving me a place to stay for the extra 7 days. I ended up staying up there for because of the border changes and everything else. And Dylan, I know you're bringing a tent. I'll have a camper. Denver,
Aww.
I don't. Well, I mean, we can all crash and party, whatever. But Denver, I don't know what your plans are. Brittany has already told me she is not camping this weekend, but she's camping tonight. I don't understand why. It's Canada Day. It's a holiday. I understand.
Okay, hold up. So she's been the one that's for 2 months now saying, let's go camping at a racetrack. And then you two are going to be camping at the racetrack. And she's saying no.
So what you're saying is she's flaking on us.
Listen, I won't be camping because all my camping gear is in Miramichi and I do not have time to go get it before the weekend. But
so you have an excuse.
I have an excuse.
Okay.
But I haven't been begging people to go camping since May.
Keep in mind, I stayed in a camper for the last 7 days at Speedway 660. I think I saw her one extra time outside of Saturday. By the way, congratulations to the Atlantic Modified Tour. Great feature on Saturday night with the Brit Enterprises 35. And congratulations to Eve McRae for coming home with the victory. Braxton Stafford, phenomenal job. Just came up about 5 laps short on the time and on the luck and all that other fun stuff. So, maybe this will give her pressure to come join us on Saturday night, Dylan. But who really knows? Regardless, if you're in the campground, it's always a good time on Saturday night at Speedway 660. We are going to have a blast. You can check out the.
I got my new cooler. I'm going to bring it to the racetrack. It's ready to go.
Sticker on it and everything. I love it.
Well, Tim, to interrupt before we end here, I forgot to stop at the store on the way home because I was going to test out my new koozie tonight, but that'll have to wait for maybe Saturday night.
Do you have the koozie there, by the way?
No, we'll save that for next week when we remind the drivers in Miramichi.
We will tell you the story that after the last show last week, BJ Gillespie comes up to me in the pits, or I was over at his pits, and he said, I got to work the acrylic machine or the canvas machine or whatever it was. Now I don't have mine, and Dylan, actually yours is in the console of the pace car. I will tell you that right now. I don't know where mine is. I had mine. Brittany actually stole the other one that I had. We all have koozies with Gillespie Racing, and they all have our names on the back of them.
Thank you.
Denver has something else that I'm pretty sure blew his head up about eight sizes too big, but according to Denver, we will get to that next week. So we'll leave that as is. Want to thank all our guests here this evening that came on the show. Dave Matthews, Bristol, Rational Richard, and Tyler Hallahan. Can't wait for Friday night at Scotia Speedworld. Saturday is going to be a blast. Going to be a great weekend. PEI is racing on Saturday. Shediac, I believe, is racing on Sunday. Check their Facebook for all the information there. Eastbound doubleheader. If there is a race in every province coming up this week for the first time since the end of 2019, get out, enjoy a race. Hopefully Mother Nature doesn't screw this one up. Get out and enjoy a race. Summer is finally here in Atlantic Canada. Get out and enjoy it. I know we are this weekend. So for all of our crew here at Tim's Corner Motorsports, Dylan Langell, Denver Matchett, Brittany, Meredith, John, everybody that's helped put this deal together. It's been a fun day. Thank you guys. Thank you for the support. We will see you on Friday when we say let's go racing on Tim's Corner TV. Until then, keep the hammer down and we'll see you at the track.